So now that we're in the ad manager, I'm going to show you how to create a new Performance Max campaign. For those of you that already have a Performance Max campaign running, you will see it down here on the left hand side. And this is the symbol here, this little, squiggle with a little star in it. This is where Performance Max will be housed. And you'll see them separate, just like all your different categories. So Performance Max are a totally new type of campaign. As you can see, I already have a Performance Max campaign set up here on the left-hand side, and I will take you through that campaign once we create a new one. To create a Performance Max campaign, or any new campaign for that matter, at your overview screen within the Google Ads Manager, you can press the plus new campaign. You can also press it in the campaigns tab. There'll be a plus symbol. So we've clicked new campaign. We are met with the objective screen for what our campaign objective is. You can select a variety of ones for Performance Max, but for this one, let's just create a campaign without a goals guidance. You can select sales leads or local store traffic to create a Performance Max. But for this one, let's just go create a campaign without guidance because we can choose anything there. So this is my default most of the time, and I'll show you why. So you then bring open the next section, which has all the different campaign types, and we are going to hit Performance Max, reach audiences across all of Google with a single campaign. You can click this and see a bit more about it if you're still confused, but please watch through to the end of the video to get a good understanding of Performance Max. So as you saw, I clicked no goal because I wanted to be able to choose any of the campaign types. And in this next section, this is where you need to have conversion goals set up. So under tools and settings in conversions, make sure if you're an e-commerce store that you have imported your Google Analytics transactions or however you're tracking purchases. If you are doing lead generation and want to track other events, make sure they're there, and you get to select here what events you want to optimize for. Given this is an e-commerce store, I'm going to remove the other types of actions. Remove. And again, I'm going to remove this again because I actually just want purchases. You'll see here that it says 2 actions, but only one is active. It's the transactions or website data has a dynamic value because we want to track purchases. You'll see why later, because Performance Max optimizes for conversion value. So if we have purchases, it needs to have a dynamic value there. Otherwise, if we just have one purchase event, it's not real. The value is going to be irrelevant. So we want to be tracking a value here. Next, you want to select the feed. So if you have multiple feeds, select the correct one, only one here. So it's going to automatically select that. And then you can actually select specific feeds here as well. So if you have feed labels or a particular country, you can do that here, but we're not going to in the purpose of this video. We've got our single feed. That's all we're interested in. Click continue. In this next section, we need to give our campaign a name. And so if you have a single Performance Max campaign, you could name it something like just Performance Max campaign. If you're going to do a specific product, you could do like this business sells tricycles. So we might go tricycles if we're only doing the tricycle products. Tricycle Performance Max campaign or Performance Max tricycle. Just choose a naming convention and stick to it. And it's just so that you are aware what is in that campaign. Click continue. In terms of a budget is a tricky one. Budgets for Google Ads get averaged out over a month. So if you want to spend $300 a month, you would choose a budget of $10 per day. Would roughly equal it out over a month. As a starting point, I do recommend most people do not go any lower than $20. Ideally, I'd be looking at $50. But to be honest, I've had plenty of campaigns below $50 doing okay as well. And those of you with a higher budget, depending on what you're spending, if you're spending $1,000 a day consistently, I would probably start this campaign at $500, $600, so a little bit lower and creeping it up. If you are more than happy to spend that budget and you have lots of conversions, because remember that this is using smart bidding, so the more conversions you have, the better. If you're brand new, you can start between $20 to $50, and don't worry, you can start Performance Max straight away, and you will utilize all that power of the machine learning and Google's algorithm. So let's start at $20 a day for this one here. What do we want to focus on? We don't really have many options, conversions or conversion value. Conversion value, you're going to select if you are optimizing for conversion value. I know I said earlier, you can optimize for conversions as well. I said conversion value. It is always actually good, even if you're doing lead generation, to have conversion value as well. So if you have a phone call and a form submission, maybe you close people 10 times better on the phone call. So you could set something like $10 for the phone call, $10 for the form submission. So it might just be a contact us form, obviously a bigger drop off. And then a phone call might be worth $100. So you could still, even with lead gen, use conversion value. For most e-commerce stores, just select conversion value because you're gonna have your analytics, transactions importing. And if it's brand new, do not set a target return on ad spend. I would caution that if you were just starting out, if you set the wrong one, then the campaign probably won't deliver. So just start on that. And then down the track, you may be able to set a target return on ad spend. I find that setting a target return on ad spend is more, the ads have been running for several months, if not longer. And you know roughly what ROAS you're going to get. And you either want to lift it a little bit, maintain it, or if you want to scale and be able to crank the budget. So sometimes you can set a target return on ad spend and just increase that budget significantly. That's an option. If starting out, just select conversion value and do not set a target return on ad spend. On the right-hand side, you're actually going to have some estimates based on whatever you set up, okay? So it's going to give you an estimate ROAS, number of conversions, and what I'm going to make. So on $20 a week, I'm estimated to make $1,600. What happens if we put this to 50? This will update. As you can see, lifts, but the ROAS drops. So as you can see, the higher up you put your budget, the lower your return on ad spend generally. Not always the case, but just generally. So if we went all the way up to 100, we'd make 3,500 in sales, but we would have spent significantly more. So this gives you an estimate. If you've already had campaigns running, whether or not it's smart, whatever, performance max, this will give you a little gauge, but we're going to start at $20 for this one. In this next tab here, we can actually close these now. This next tab is customer acquisition and how we optimize for it. At the moment, the default is bid equally for new and existing customers. Because Performance Max uses smart bidding and AI, it's normally at the start going to focus on existing customers. And so it will utilize your remarketing list and the data stored on your ad tag or analytics tag to find all your existing customers. So if we want to bid and we want to campaign for new customers, we can actually click this and Google will recommend to us an additional conversion value for new customers. So how much do we want to bid in addition to the amount currently for an existing customer? It costs us $188. So for another $54, we're going to spend an extra $54 to acquire a new customer. If you're brand new, do not tick this. If this is a new campaign, do not tick this. Just leave it. This is a more advanced method for scaling. It's just something you should be aware of. But if you are wanting new customers, you can tick that. I do recommend doing that on a new campaign and potentially having one campaign optimizing for existing customers and another one for new, especially if it's been running for a while. So do not tick it for this campaign. Let's just click next. Locations is very important. The standard is all countries and territories, and if you're only selling in one location, best bet is to put that location. So this store only targets Australia. That's all we want to do. Now, if you wanted to do a particular region or a state, so in Australia we might do Queensland, and we want to target just Queensland and maybe New South Wales. And then we actually wanted to exclude Victoria or Tasmania, another state in Australia, we just click exclude and that won't send it there. Maybe our shipping expenses are too high. Or if we wanted to target just Melbourne, we would just target Melbourne and then click save. But just select whatever location that you normally sell in. If you can service a whole country, click the entire country. If you do all countries and territories, click that. Normally you'll find that if your feed is in a particular country and you normally sell there, it will only serve the ads in that location. Languages. So for example, if you're in a country where multiple languages are spoken, maybe you're in Canada and you want to add French as well, you can add French as well here. It's not super important, but it's just if you give Google more info, it's going to be able to start on the right foot straight away. So just feel free, if you're in a country or target a country that you have additional languages spoken, please enter that in. The next part is final URL expansion. So this is just like a dynamic search ad. For an e-commerce store, you can just default and send traffic to the most relevant URLs on your website. Or you can exclude some URLs. So maybe you want to exclude your contact us page, your FAQs and things like that. Or if you have custom landing pages, you could just specify URLs. That is one option. So I tend to leave this as send traffic to the most relevant URLs on the site. Google's machine learning can use that power, use that juice, have all that data there, and then find the appropriate websites. And it's just a really quick way of getting, say you have thousands or tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of products, rather than having to do individual search campaigns or dynamic search, you're doing it all in one hit. So it's quite handy, but just keep in mind that if you do go too far out, you may bring in a lot of irrelevant traffic, but given that it is optimizing for conversion value, that should be limited. You can also click this to better understand final URL expansion and how to use it. There are plenty of videos online. I don't believe I have one on my channel, but definitely will be looking to in the future. Find out, understand more about final URL expansion. You do have a few more options under more settings. If you're running a store or you only want the ads to run between 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 or something like that, you can put an ad schedule so you can run it on particular days, on the weekend, things like that. You can set start and end dates. I do not recommend doing that for Performance Max unless it's a very limited time drop or something like that. Better to manually have that and not have an end date, and then you can pause it manually. If you are using Hyros or any other form of tracking parameters, please enter them in here. So if you have Hyros, this is where you would enter the tracking template that's for Performance Max campaigns. Again, all of this stuff here is completely optional. You do not have to put an ad schedule or anything like that. Best bet, if you don't know, just leave it as the standard option, and let's click next. So the way Performance Max campaigns are structured is underneath the total campaign, we have asset groups. So we're showing high quality ads to the right people. Start by adding assets to the building blocks of every ad. Google will test different combinations of the different things we put in here to find high performing ads across all the different networks and the audiences we want to reach, okay? So the first asset group here might be all products that you might do, right? Or if you're selling you only want to target a particular set of products. So maybe you do your best sellers. But my suggestion is with asset groups is if you're just starting out, have one asset group with all your products and show generic branding and lifestyle things related to your products. And then if you want to get more detailed down the track, like for example, in this business, they have adult tricycles, kids tricycles, accessories. I might do just one for accessories. I might then do another asset group for tricycles. And the reason that's important is, well, one, in the listing groups, which are beneath the asset groups, I get to choose which products within my feed I get to show. So I can exclude certain products, include based on all the parameters we could in shopping. And then just note that some of your ads will use images, headlines, and descriptions from your merchants in them. This will change. It won't always be the same. But just so you know, we can use all products or use a selection. So if we have it by category, say we just want toys and games or vehicles and parts, we just select them and that's all that will be targeted. We can do it at the brand level. We can do it at the single item level. So if we just want one item, 2 items. Channel and custom labels. So if you want to set custom labels, maybe you want to bid on your highest margin or highest price pointed or most expensive products, you're going to assign a custom label or seasonal or whatever it might be. If you're brand new, just use all products. Here you will see this is a bit like your YouTube ads, display, search, everything combined into one, and you will get an ad score based on all the different things. So we've got products, headlines, video, descriptions. One thing to note is you actually do not need an asset group. So if you were just wanting, a smart campaign, you could just exclude all of this here and not have them. Same with an audience signal, you don't have to have it, and you can go to the next step. I do recommend most people put in relevant images and URLs. So for this one, I'm just going to put the homepage URL. If you have a good collection page, if it's a collection specific ad or a brand page, send them there. If you want to send them to your all collections page, that's not a bad place to send people either. And here, once we add some stuff, we'll be able to see what our ads will look like in the different formats: search, display, discover. So you see we use all our feed level data here to show us exactly the information we have in our merchant center. It's going to appear here. So sorry for the scrolling. So let's add some images. Again, make sure they're good images. Lifestyle images and things like that are nice. So we can add up to 20 images here. Now, try and make them as specific to what you're selling as possible and to your target market. So this one's targeting more older people. This is more younger people. So you probably wouldn't want to mix the two together. But for the purposes of this, just add them in, especially since we're doing all of them. Add a selection of images that showcase your products to the best of your ability. And over time, Google's going to test and find the best ones. You can actually go to your website and scan the website. And if you do have a Facebook page or an Instagram, this can scan those and find images, or we can upload them. So in the asset library, these are ones I already had and had used before. Sometimes it's easier to view this as a table as well. But you'll see you can get images here from your social media sites, pages, and you can add them to your ads. Really quite handy. And then you can click save. You can add up to 5 logos. I'm just going to add a logo that I've used here before and click save. You don't have to add a video, but it will allow you to be seen on YouTube and the display network. So it's always worth testing and adding a video. You do need the YouTube URL, so it does need to be added to YouTube. I'm not going to add one here because I do not believe I have one for this business. Headlines, you can actually get suggestions and just add them in like this, so it's quite handy. Try and have a variety of headlines there, and then just double check what they'll look like over here. Tricycles for sale, best trikes Australia. Just make sure you're adding headlines and showcasing what you're actually selling. Now you can also do the exact same thing for the long headlines, but here the long headline might be something like free shipping Australia wide. You can maximize those characters here. You do have 90 characters. I'm not going to, and sometimes I find that for most of them, you're better off going straight to the point. So doing something like AU's best trike seller, high quality trikes at the best prices. Something like that. This is what it's going to look like on search. Then we have a short description. Short descriptions are more for display ads and Gmail and things like that. Trike Bike is the largest seller of tricycles in Australia. That's a good one. It will populate some of these too. Quality trike bikes at wholesale prices. The more headlines you have, the more options you give Google. So we're able to keep your trike bike running for years and years. No, we don't want that one. Something along these lines is fine. From there, I recommend you have a minimum of 3 of each and a maximum, I believe, of 5 headlines. Not sure what the maximum, I believe it's also 5 in description. And the business name, you just want to put your business name here. Then site links. Site links you can add later. These are mainly used in your search ads, but if you already have them, you can add them here So things like warranty, delivery, shipping, contact us, all those different things that you add to your search ads, you can also add them here as well. I'm not going to add any call to action. You can automate it, but if you're doing e-commerce, probably Shop Now is your best option. You do have some options to add promotions and prices and calls if you have a phone number, and lots of other things like lead forms, call outs, the location, which will just use your account. And then you do have some more advanced options here. Just ignore most of these for now. Over time, you can add these if they are relevant, but let's move on to audience signal. So the audience signal is use an audience signal to reach the right audiences faster. Start by creating or adding an audience. Performance Max will use it as a starting point to find new conversions across Google. So basically, we are giving Google some information as to who our customer might look like or who will buy from us. It's not going to be perfect, it just gives it a starting point, but if you do have lots of data, it's not going to matter too much, and you don't have to have it, but I already have one set up. I will set up a new one. The best practices are twofold. Use custom segments and use your own data. So if you have remarketing audiences and things like that already, please use them. Otherwise, click create a new audience, and we might call this remarketing and competitors and keywords. So we might choose some keywords. So we can create a new one. I already have one here. Anything you already have will be here, but let's create a new custom segment, and we might call it tricycle. And we can do either people with any of these purchase intentions. So we might go tricycle. So motorized three-wheel bikes for adults. That's actually perfect. We can add a bunch of those because this has purchase intentions. If we just want people who are searching actual things, these are for people who are search terms on actual Google. On other campaigns, terms will be used as interest or purchase intentions. These are both relatively similar. As long as you are adding relevant keywords to this, you're going to be giving Google information on here as to who to target. More than likely, yes, they're going to be male. More than likely, they're going to be this age group. But if they're not and you know your customer isn't, change it. Another thing to note is you can actually add URLs. So if your competitors get plenty of traffic, they do need to be sites that get plenty of traffic. Add URLs here. If one particular website doesn't give enough, paste multiple. Let's just click save for this custom segment. And then we might actually add in our data as well. So if we have an all traffic audience, which is a remarketing audience, if you don't have these, go into Google Analytics or Google Ads and set these up. I have lots of videos on this. Interests and detailed demographics. So if I know before a particular segment worked well for me, I might add it in here. Folding bike, recumbent bikes. The more information I give here, the better chance I have at Google, particularly if this is a totally new campaign or a new account. More information I give, the better. So if, for example, I know that females don't buy this, let's exclude females. And then if I know that no one under 25 buys this, let's exclude everyone there. Click save, and that is our audience signal all set up. This will show eligible and limited if you don't put that there, but it's just waiting to approve my custom segment. So your audience signal has been added. Performance Map will go beyond your selections to find new conversion based on your goals. So it will go past what you specify in here, so don't be too worried as long as you let this campaign run. And I do recommend that you let it run because Google actually recommends 6 weeks minimum. Sometimes you actually need even longer. So let's click next, and it's going to check for errors, and you will be able to review everything that you've done in this campaign. So before you go ahead and do everything, this is going to show you where there are issues. And often, look, there is. So let's go and fix it. So I need at least one square image. Here's a square image. I'm going to select it, click save, and that should go away now. Now that that error is gone, we can progress and publish the campaign, hopefully. So have a scroll through, make sure everything is okay, and there's no errors, which it doesn't have, but just double check everything. Then we can hit publish campaign and it will publish it. And lo and behold, your campaign is live. It will go into 1 to 2 day policy review if it is a totally new account. After that, you'll start getting impressions and then you will start getting conversions. So you can check in the overview screen what's going on. You will eventually get an ad strength and then policy status, which will all be pending. But your campaign is now up and it will soon be running. So let's go enabled. What I will do is I will pause this campaign because we won't be using it, but I do have one already running. When you go to your campaign screen or your overview screen, enter that campaign. It's been running for about 6 weeks. On the overview screen, you can start looking at what is going on with your campaign. Are you making any sales? Are you hitting your targeted ROI and things like that? So look at conversion value. So we've spent in the last 6 weeks $1,550 and we've made $12,800. Very, very good ROI. Very, very happy with the campaign's performance. Our asset groups have got an excellent rating, which is fantastic. If they do have a good or average, go in and improve it. Let's look at our policy status. Everything is eligible. Any recommendations? Let's look through here. Let's go look at insights, which is an area that is new to Performance Max. This area of insights is a little bit different to other areas, and it shows you a week-on-week comparison or a 28 days. And week-on-week, it just gives us a bit of information. Conversion value increased 3,720 or 122%. Spent a little bit less. Conversion value, ROAS was pretty good. Actual conversions were down, but that's because we're tracking phone calls on this as well as sales, and we just had more sales than phone calls. Search for bike and one other category increased, which shows you your assets are resonating well with bicycles and accessories. Makes sense. And it'll actually tell you new competitors entering the auction. So in here, explore search terms that your ads appeared for. So we've got searches for bike and one other category increase, as we said. And down here, it'll tell you which keywords we got sales for. Let's make the period a bit bigger so there's a bit more information. And we can sort by conversion value. And Trike Bike Australia gave us 0, which was a big drop. Last time we had all our conversion from there. Tempo Tricycles, it also gives you the search volume as well. Trike Bike gave us some adult tricycle baskets and tricycles for adults. There's lots of keywords here you can scroll through and see as well. Electrical Tricycles Canberra. Just keep an eye on it and make sure that they're relevant. If they're not, you might need to make some tweaks to your Merchant Center titles. After that, you've got the Auction Insights tab, which gives you your impression share metrics and who we're competing against. And then you can do a bit of digging on your competitors. That's what I normally look at here, and over time I want to increase this and obviously become higher top of page rate. You can make changes to your asset groups or create new asset groups by clicking the blue button. I will in a later video explain to you a bit more of how to optimize these campaigns, just showing you what to look at the start. Listing groups is going to show you your actual products in your feed here, or your brands or whatever you've set up. Extensions, again, we can add new extensions. Products here on the products tab will show you which products are live and the spend and whatnot on each one. Diagnostics will show you if there are any issues, out of stocks and things like that. Settings are where you can start making some changes to your settings. Locations, pretty self-explanatory, which locations, ad schedule, and then if you make changes and forget, just come in here and review them, okay? So that is all the columns and everything you need to know about a Performance Max campaign. I like these because they're pretty relatively easy to set up, relatively easy to manage. You do lose some control. They don't always work amazingly. Sometimes I find I need to go back to a standard approach. And if you find you need a lot of, control and reporting, maybe Performance Max isn't right for you. But for a lot of people, and myself included, they are doing really, really well. It just comes down to that segmentation and providing proper information. Tracking needs to be perfect. And yeah, just make small changes when you do it. If you do rapid changes on these campaigns, I do find that performance really drops off. I would really like to hear about your experience with Performance Max campaigns in the comments below. If you have any questions or tips, please feel free to leave them below. If you'd like to give the video a thumbs up and give me a subscribe, that would really help the channel. And as always, thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next video.